I like a large caramel macchiato with an extra shot and whipped cream, please.
Yep.
Wait, hold on. How much is that?
485.
Okay, better drop the extra shot. What does that make it?
420.
Better make it a small. What does that make it?
330.
Better drop the whipped cream. What does that make it?
Less calories.
Oh my God, and he flew all the way to New York to tell me that. That's so romantic.
It's beautiful, really.
I'm allowed to leave the state.
What's that now?
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on the Al Travis Show.
Love having her on. It's Megan's News in Review. Megan, how you doing?
Good. Happy to be back.
I have a challenge for you. You know, you're not a sports fan. I get that. But you understand they keep score and they have different ways. Like in basketball, there's the 1-pointer free throw. There's the 2-point bucket. There's the 3-point long shot, right? You understand, you know how that concept works?
Yep.
I would like Megan to come up with a scoring system that we can look at, let's say, the state government and how a year goes. And, you know, 1 point for just regular crap that
Like
goes
a report
on.
card. A Minnesota report card.
Yeah, see, because I think we mentioned last week before, that this has been the craziest year I could ever imagine. 2 senators on felony counts, you know, whether one's going to vote or not. All not showing up for work for 3 weeks on the House side. Supreme Court's getting involved. I mean, this year has been ridiculous. And now, whatever the score was last week, put another couple points in the bucket because, like, Senator Joe Champion, the president of the Senate, in hot water. Accused now. What do you call? Nothing has been finalized. You know, it's just accusations. But tell us about that, because it's just, you can't make this up. This session can't get done soon enough if you're a senator or a representative.
Like you said, I mean, between special elections and Democrats not showing up for 3 weeks to a month, and people breaking into their in-laws or stepmother's homes and stealing things. And yeah, we have kind of reached a new threshold of crazy here in Minnesota.
Child prostitution. I mean, it doesn't, you couldn't, if they made this up at 2020, as this is what, you would think it was completely made up. There's no way this would happen. And yet here we are.
And yeah, here we are. And this Senator, Bobby Joe Champion, Senate president, this happened previously. This started, I believe, in 2023. Kind of a crazy, weird story where he was pro bono lawyer for this certain nonprofit. And then all of a sudden, a couple months later, he is trying to push through a bill that gives them grants and funding through the state of Minnesota. More is still coming out about that. It sounds like maybe he has a bill this session as well.
Another $1 million. Can we bust this down for folks who don't understand? They call them NGOs, non-government organizations. And in Minnesota, and we're trying to get this stopped, Republicans are, is to stop just naming an NGO and giving them the money. If you want something done, you say, here's what we're looking to done, request for proposal, the company with the best track record or whatever they do, will get that money. That's not what we're doing. This guy's company, 21 Steps or whatever, and I don't have it right in front of me, got $3 million. This is a reverend. His company got $3 million to help stop violence in Minneapolis. Now, it doesn't say how many fights you got to stop. They're going to give it their best shot. Now, I ask you, Megan, and I don't know where you sit on the religious spectrum, shouldn't a reverend try to stop fighting for nothing? That's kind of like the gig when you get to be the reverend. I don't know what kind of reverend he is, but
I mean, you kind of pointed it out too, where it's like this is a weird thing we do in Minnesota, where certain bills are earmarking funds for certain nonprofits and certain organizations versus having kind of a more of a grant writing process where there's like a whole entity that reviews applications, and these organizations are working to fill out the grant application, send it into the state of Minnesota, certain deliverables that should be attached to it as well. But yeah, this one is a little bit goofy.
So let's go. So evidently, Bobby Joe Champion, Senator Champion, somehow knows this reverend. And in another company, they're having some issues, and I don't know how that settled out, but basically there are 3, 4, 5 buildings that were having problems not paying their rent. And Champion, a lawyer, pro bono, he says, I went over and I fixed that. We got taken. So now you know a little something about the guy. The guy, Bobby Joe, knows the guy. Knows he had a bit of a problem, had to have a lawyer step in to fix his problem. And again, I don't know if he did. This is all alleged. I don't know what he did wrong. So somehow Bobby Joe Champion writes the bill to send that guy's company, under another name, NGO, $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
But says he didn't think he had to say anything because, well, I did it pro bono.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's kind of the loophole I think he was looking for, is that because, he's a lawyer, he wasn't paid for this particular gig. And then he lied about the timeline though too. So
Well, that was a
he's
little
trying to find cover, I
misunderstanding.
think, in a couple of different places. So if it doesn't work out over here, well, then he has cover over here. So he says, "Oh yeah, this all concluded before session, and things were still moving in those lawsuits well into session as well."
Well, it's kind of the word game. It depends what you mean by working free for, because he did some law work for free, pro bono. I say the company made out better him working as a senator, because in this year's bill, there's $1 million also for the same company. Minnesota's got to get out of the NGO business. There can be NGOs, you apply like everybody else and see if a small business couldn't do it, something like that. This idea that we just hand out millions and millions of dollars. Just back to, how do you know how many fights he stopped? This is the same group that was going into Minneapolis for $750,000.
Yeah,
And
how
said,
do you, like I said, how do you measure, what are the deliverables? It's not the same as like a formal grant writing process where an organization has certain things that they have to hit in order to keep that money.
well, this group went to Minneapolis, said, you don't pay us the $750,000, you're going to have heck to pay. They're threatening them. That's extortion. I mean,
Well,
elected
and
extortion.
I will say at the end of the day, I mean, all of this has been reported. It's been out there for about, I don't know, a week or so.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Minnesota Reformer starts digging in. They publish a story, and within hours after that story is published, this senator has stepped down from his subcommittee on ethics. So, and this particular publication, I will say, definitely leans a little bit more to the left.
Oh, a
And
little.
all the
Okay.
publications that were publishing on this before do lean to the right. So it's interesting to show kind of this media dynamic that we have here in Minnesota too.
Let's talk down the ethics. So Bobby Joe Champion, as president of the Senate, is head of the ethics committee, 2-on-2, the two Republicans, two liberals, so two left Democrats. So he's got to take himself down. He said yes. Sandra Pappas steps up. Senator Pappas, very nice lady as well. Still 2-2. Megan, I predict, this is just my prediction, this dies a slow death on the vine in the ethics committee because nothing ever gets done there.
Yeah.
This is going to be, we need an investigation. Let's look into this. Let's do this thing. This company will probably get another $1 million in this session ever before the ethics committee does word one on this. Can you remember last time the ethics committee said shame? Even wrote a strongly worded letter.
I will say the ethics committee does have a little bit of bigger fish to fry. You've got Senator Mitchell over there who broke into her,
which they've done nothing for a year and a half.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they're pretty much a statement piece at this point, more than a functioning body.
Exactly. So you sit here and we better get people in, have Bobby Joe come in. Let's do some research. None of that's going to happen. They've got 3 weeks to get the budget done. He just doesn't got to go to the ethics meeting.
This legislation will be squished into some omnibus bill. I'm sure we'll see it.
Yeah. Well, those that look. We got to go to break. When we come back, what do you got? Give me the kicker. What are we talking about on the other side?
Oh, well, we've got a lot more fraud going on in Minnesota. Or
What?
suspected fraud. Some suspicious things happening.
We'll talk suspected fraud coming up after this. It's Megan's News and Review.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
There are many ways to explore Alexandria. Some like to experience the outdoors and all the fun winter in Minnesota can provide. Pick your favorite way to get in touch with nature. Others like to explore downtown in the warm comfort of a boutique or gathered around a table with friends. You can do all of that or relax and do nothing at all. Come explore Alexandria. Start planning at explorealex.com.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We've got her, Megan, in with Megan's News in Review. What? Fraud in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I want to be
should
shocked.
clarify. Suspected fraud. We've got a kind of weird case, weird things happening. So Second Harvest Heartland, which is a, food insecurity, food, hunger, food shelf type organization. They've kind of recently come under fire during a Ways and Means committee when a representative asked, why does your CEO make almost $1 million? Specifically, she makes about $721,000 a year, and they have a lot of employees that are also making significantly more than Minnesota's governor. So pointing out kind of, okay, like where's this money coming from? You continue to come back to the legislature, ask for more money, and we give it to you, and what's going on? So pointing that out, and then not a couple of days, if not a week later, we have the CEO saying, you know what, I'm going to take a step back. So she'll be resigning in June. But I say suspected fraud. I think this story is far from over. I think this is just the beginning of us uncovering maybe another organization, nonprofit that had exploited the state's funds during COVID.
But this is the loophole thing, whether it's fraud or not. People can decide. Should someone begging for the state of Minnesota to give them money to feed poor children be making $1 million a year, round numbers? Is it fraud? Is it immoral? I would throw this out to you because the story I have not seen it. I saw the actual Representative O'Neill give this speech in committee. The University of Minnesota tries to get at least $500 million out of us every biennium.
Yep.
And this O'Neill comes out and says, well, did you know the top 100 people at the University of Minnesota make more than the governor? And there's a little gasp in the room. Do you know that the top 2,100 people make as much as the governor or more? Top 2,100. My city I live in is 3,000 people. Yeah. Every human here makes more than the governor if I was the University of Minnesota.
Well, and the University of Minnesota is, for the most part, funded by the state. It is a land-grant institution. It is that's where the argument is a little bit better.
This is my point. So they come here and we now say, we'll give anybody who makes less than $80,000 free right to go to University of Minnesota. We'll pick up the tab. They come back and say, well, we're still raising tuition. You know why? Because we're a land grant university. What are you going to do about it? And yet this body continues to pay to have 2,100 people make more money than the governor. You know what? If OL was there, we'd be squeezing that down really tight. And say, you know what, maybe that is gross negligence of our money. Now, they know about it. They keep passing this thing. It's bad on the senators and stuff. But that's what whether it's morally right or wrong, we'll just charge kids more. We'll ask the state to pay the difference. If not,
Well, and
it's
that's
all
kind of
crazy.
the case here with this second harvest is they're spending a lot of money and manpower, it seems, on lobbying and trying to get their funding through the state. And their revenues since I think 2024 are up by 50% or in the last 5 years or so, up by 50%. They've increased their food distribution by 30%, but it just sounds so similar to that same storyline that we heard with Feeding Our Future, feeding 3,000 kids out of our, one bedroom apartment in Minneapolis every day. Like there's too much similarity here. I think the story is far from over. We're going to continue to see this investigated, but the CEO at the end of the day, after being questioned about her own salary and the organization, decided to step down. And that's pretty telling.
And again, all alleged, but something stinks like fish here, and we're going to find out. It's all alleged, but I appreciate you bringing it up. I think at some point, and maybe we're here, Minnesotans are just going to say that's just enough. I'm tired of it. Again, the 2,100 University of Minnesota employees, did anybody have a clue on that? No, now it's out there. Everybody should say, why am I paying more for taxes? Let's just look at it. Any last story for us, last 3 minutes?
Yeah, marijuana, something we continue to talk about, always coming back since that law passed, and it continues to remain an absolute mess. So Minnesota lawmakers are now saying 2026 could be the earliest that we have dispensaries that are not located on tribal land. And granted, that was before a judge yesterday, I believe, actually just approved all the rules for the program, which why is that happening now?
Oh, because it was a lottery thing and they called it illegal. It's like if you were a minority or anything and you got more lottery balls or something, you had a better chance. That ain't right. So now he's got rules that are set in place. But let me throw one at you, back to the money thing, and I'll give it to you. Do you know the money set aside to be the Office of Cannabis Management Manager? More than the governor. Yeah. And they can't fill it. The thing has been empty for 2 years. I'll tell you what, I'll take part-time. I'll do it part-time and I will run it as well as it's running now.
I can't think of one person here in Minnesota that would want to step into that role in its current state. And I mean, the folks that pushed this legislation through even admitted, and they've been admitting, we wanted to pass this when we passed it. We knew we'd have to come back and fix it later. And to me, that is a huge red flag. Good policy does not happen overnight. Good policy is very slow. It's well thought out. It is frustrating as, a Minnesotan hearing all about this and monitoring these stories, and every day it's something new. It's like, well, we didn't have rules until today. It's been 2 years, and now you're saying 2026, like a 3-year rollout. But
you gotta go back. They got the 3 legs of the stool. They could do whatever they wanted. And they literally on the show, what about I don't care about marijuana as long as you do it well. Hey, we've had this bill for 15 years. We've been trying. This thing is well massaged and well oiled. They pass it. It is a flipping train wreck. Mm-hmm. And can anybody stand up and say it's not? This is maybe the Indian casinos who are the only ones selling this stuff legit out there. Otherwise, this is crazy.
And you did have also 400 people requested refunds because they were like, well, this is taking too long. I'm not going to pursue this business anymore. I'm backing out. So they requested their refunds. Those were approved, I believe. They were refunded those fees. That was over $1 million. I believe it was $1.5 million that was refunded in those fees. So
wow,
not good.
I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that.
State of affairs.
Yeah, everybody sit down, have a toke, relax. We'll get it figured out. That's like the motto of that entire organization right now. Just have a toke and relax. That's an old school term for marijuana. I don't know if Megan knows that. Sorry, old school stuff. Megan, I love having you on the program. It is always a pleasure. Alleged is all we know. We'll just throw that out there, but it's going to come.
Thanks for having me on, Al. We'll be back next week talking about the top Minnesota news stories of the week on Megan's News and Review on the Al Travis Show.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular